Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video took a longer break to upload as I didn't expect this piece to consume so much time. I was in the mood for a still life painting and wanted to incorporate a porcelain coffee set in it. The last time I did a coffee still life was a year ago, and I was very blessed that I found a home in one of the sweetest and nicest couples I've met on YouTube, which is Dave and Katie from the TravelingTramps. Because I want all my pieces to be different, I changed the whole mood of it. I like to think that the last piece was more mysterious and elegant, whereas this is a little more light and spring. Every time I think that still life art will be easy to paint and stress-free, just like coloring, I am proven wrong, time and time again. It was very tedious and time-consuming, and editing hours of work into a 10-minute video was an absolute nightmare. But thankfully, I do like how it turned out, and I'm quite happy with the painting overall. So I first start by priming the canvas in pale purple. This step helps to bring out the colors when you paint over it instead of painting on white. I usually like to sketch with a chalk as it leaves no mark and it's easy to erase and redraw if required. Once the sketch is done, the next step is to apply a thin layer of paint and roughly color the objects. By mapping it out first, you get an idea of the final image and allows room for adjustments if you want to remove or add objects. For this flat lay aesthetic piece, I've got a few pink peonies or roses laying on top of sheer fabric, decorative leaves, 3 cookies, vintage letters, and a cup of coffee in blue fine china. As you can see right now, I'm just painting lightly over my sketch, and then once we go on to the second layer, I'll try to give a little bit more of details on what I'm doing and such. Now that I've kind of mapped out everything, I realized that the middle looks a little sparse, so I'm going to add a pink peony here. Now that we're done with the first layer, I'm going to start with the centerpiece, which is the coffee. I'm using Ventic brown for this and making sure that the circle is even. Alternatively, you could use something round to draw it, but I prefer a more organic look to it. Once you're satisfied with the shape, outline the coffee with pale grey. Now I'm going to use titanium white along the rims of the cup and the edges of the saucer. Because they're both in the same shade of white, I'm going to use pale grey just around the cup to differentiate them both, and then I'm going to paint the rest of the saucer in titanium white. Over here, I'm just evening out the shape of the circle with a size 000 brush. Next, we're going to be painting the edges with blue porcelain designs. First, we're going to paint another layer of titanium white to mark out the space where the drawings will be on. You might need another layer or so for the white to be fully opaque. This white space here will act like a grid so that the blue drawings will be even all around the circle. I'm using ultramarine blue with a bit of Prussian blue. Use a fine brush, preferably size 000 for better control, especially on these thin lines. I've got pretty shaky hands, so this part took a very long time. Work on the rims of the cup next. You might want a similar design to match the saucer, but slightly simplified because the space is a lot thinner. Once you're past that, paint the rest of the saucer in titanium white, leaving just a bit around the cup in pale grey. Same for the cup as well, leave pale grey just around the coffee for depth. Over here, I made a last minute amendment by scaling down the size of the handle so it looks a little more delicate to match the set. The last coffee piece I did was dark coffee, so I decided to make this different by adding creamer by mixing Ventic brown with raw sienna. I'm working on the peonies next. I'm not great with fine details, so I'm pretty much winging this as I go along. They were supposed to be peonies, but I think they look more like roses in the end. So what I did is to first outline the tip of the petals in titanium white. And then I blend in the pinks. I've used 4 colors for all the flowers: titanium white, portrait tone, pink and rose red from light to dark. White will be along the edges and start with pink from inside of the petal, followed by portrait tone. I mix them all with white for a pastel shade. I used only a bit of rose red in certain parts of the petals to create a bit of depth. There was a lot of blending involved, so I find myself going over the flowers again after the paint has dried to smoothen it out. With the same colors, just a little lighter, I'm going to paint the flower buds next. This part is quite simple, painting the leaves and stems. There wasn't exactly a standard color for all, but I've mainly mixed and matched Viridian green, Metis green and Prussian blue. I like variety for the leaves, so each of them are slightly different, some lighter and the others darker. I mix a bit of titanium white with the blue and greens for a teal shade. And for the buds, I'm using green meat mixed with yellow meat for a brighter green. Now this was unexpectedly my favorite part, painting the cookies. I start with ivory white and raw sienna for the base. Outline the edges of the cookies with Van Dyck brown and blend it with raw sienna mixed with ivory white for shading. Do a final thin outline just around the cookie with Van Dyck brown. Repeat for all the cookies. Paint a small heart for the strawberry filling in the middle. Use scarlet red for the heart and outline it with purple red. Next are the letters, raw umber and yellow ochre for the brown envelope, and pale grey with titanium white for the one next to it. I wanted it lighter, so I've added more yellow ochre for this one. Okay, so now it's time to paint the background. So you're probably wondering, why don't we just paint the background first and then paint everything else on top? Right, that would make things a lot easier, and that's also what I used to do. But what I've realized is that painting over it kind of defeats the underpainting of the purple pale that helps to bring out the rest of the color palette. After a couple times of trying this technique, I find that it looks a lot better despite being more tedious. I chose a more grey shade as brown would overwhelm the rest of the brown shades there, which is the coffee, letters and cookie. I'm using Prussian blue, just a bit of Van Dyck brown, pale grey and Payne's grey. Paint the large blank spaces first and then use a size 000 brush to paint around all the other objects and get in between those nook and crannies. I wanted a touch of nostalgia with an airmail envelope. Again, just paint titanium white along the edges as your grid, then paint the blue and red stripes inside the white lines. Paint the rest of the envelope in titanium white when you're done. We are almost done. I wanted a sheer fabric, soft and see-through. Start by painting the base in pink and Payne's grey. To give texture to the fabric, paint flowy lines of pink and titanium white. highlights of pink and a bit of titanium white. These are just final touches, add stamped onto the envelope and the ribbon around the other one. Originally, I wanted this to be a wooden background, so I drew 2 lines in masked black across the canvas to create the wooden planks. At first, I thought of painting the wood surface, but it felt too cluttered, so I kept it as it is. Anyway, I hope you like this painting and that you found the tutorial useful. This piece is listed on Etsy and can be styled both ways. Link is in the description below. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.